Yeah, so last week, I think it was last week, yeah,
Mhm.
y'all were hanging in Corwick, chilling, vibing, even. You sat down for dinner. Lena was up over at the temple and was forced into eating dinner there because people are very pushy in this town. You all enjoyed a perfectly lovely dinner, and then you had to start talking, which was Susanna's fault. She did start it. And you talked a little bit about a couple things, like, for example, the fact that Susanna's grave is there. There were some theories, such as, was Susanna buried alive? She was not, thank goodness. You talked a little bit about the necromancy and the dead bird, and how ideally we would just, get out of Dodge. And you talked a little bit about all sorts of stuff. And Susanna got stressed out and left and climbed out her window, um, and went to chill in a graveyard because that's also a healthy coping mechanism. And you all were digging through her house as you do and found some stuff like, for example, a blood-stained tablecloth and some other objects that were perhaps concerning. And Susanna went to the graveyard and was sitting there, and Mercy decided to keep an eye on her. And while she was there, Mercy saw a mockingbird sitting on the gravestone, who then started to flicker and take the shape of a ghostly human woman, who, upon closer inspection, was a ghostly Susanna. And then Susanna, none the wiser to this sort of spirit apparition behind her, went back to the house and was like, hey, y'all, what's up? And everybody was like, what the fuck, Susanna? And there was a little bit of talk about the mockingbird, what the mockingbird might be, what the mockingbird might not be. And it was let into the house, at which point Susanna said, hey, you know what would solve all this really quick? And picked up her gun and pulled the trigger, pointing at the mockingbird. And that was where we left off. Um, and that is where we will pick up because she raises her gun, she pulls the trigger, and nothing happens. And she says, oh, yeah, I unloaded my gun in Western.
Talia, who's like halfway through, like setting up and just leaping for deflect missiles, is like grumpy now.
Oh, no, that would have been
They were
cool.
gonna be so cool.
Fuck, I should have thought of that. That would have been so cool.
Catch a bullet.
Um, in fact, at this point, yeah, Lena's probably just getting to Susanna's house so she can open the door. Everybody's in the sitting room. There's a bird on the mantle. Susanna's holding her gun, and everybody's just sort of standing around. That's
I think Vice is gonna get between Susanna and the bird with his arms up, like, don't shoot this bird. Even if it is unloaded.
Same with Vera. She's gonna just stand in front of the bird.
Just put the gun down, Susanna.
It's not loaded. It's fine.
It's still a weapon.
What am I gonna do? Throw it at the bird?
Vice just throws his hands in the air. He's like, you could!
Yeah, I could. I could also throw it at your face.
And I would rather you do that than damage yourself if that's what this is.
I
mean, we don't know. It's just a story. I don't know if it's.
It could be anything.
Vias glances at the bird. Does he see anything different than...
No. It looks like a bird.
Hello, Lena.
Oh, wait, I could open the Roll20. Yeah, I could do that in case I have to roll or see other people's rolls.
Oh,
I'm a DM.
God. Oh god, Lena.
Hi, Lena. How are you doing?
Lets out a very. It's almost a slightly hysterical laugh, and a lot. Oh,
Susanna's in the bird. There's a blood tablecloth over there.
There is so much necromancy here.
Oh yeah, there's lots and lots of dead things that are not dead. It's
Like
bad.
like the crows.
Like the birds, not the people. Though apparently there are some people.
Maybe the
Susanna
people.
says there's not, but
There's no people.
Maybe that you know of.
Yeah, I do know, and I like. Oh my.
Yeah, a lot of those are undead.
Susanna slowly puts the gun back in her pocket and just sort of nods.
Vice kind of grins at the Lena situation, but more in a like, yeah, agreement.
So,
I feel like at this point Talia's just on their back on the floor, like, what the fuck is my life?
I'm so sorry.
I think Diana is going to finish folding the bloody tablecloth because she'd been in the middle of it when Talia had to bolt to try and chase the bub.
Oh yeah, Vias also has to go and pick up those bloody shirt that he found with bullet holes in it.
Yeah.
Yes, so we can let Susanna's trauma be re-hidden as it should be, rather than...
He takes Mercy off of his shoulder and keeps it near the bird, and he says, like mentally, he just tells her to keep it safe for now.
All right. The
Very
bird.
staying near the bird.
Yeah.
Safe.
Oh.
And Vias does that, like, two-finger, like, eyes on you thing, and then points at Mercy, and then does the same thing at Susanna, and then walks away to go put the shirts away.
Okay. Yeah, you can take those shirts and stash them right back up in the attic where you found them.
Diana, when she's folded the tablecloth, will sort of go to take it upstairs as well, and just gentle pat on Susanna's shoulder.
Susanna will just sort of nod. Her shoulders are very tense. So, Lena, how was your time at the temple? Did you like it? Was there anything interesting? It is pretty, isn't it? I like it there. It's nice. Yeah, a lot of people are like that here. I hope nobody was too annoying.
Not sure I'd call this place forthright, but
Can any place really be considered forthright? I mean, is that a term that could be applied to places? I don't think so.
some
It can.
more than others.
Okay, fine. Okay. So, now that you've all let a bird into my house, what do you propose we do with it?
Not shoot it?
Obviously not shoot it, darling. I don't have my gun in my hand, but if it's not to be shot, something must be done with it, shouldn't it?
Well, and
Talia's
Vias...
hands just go up in a fuck if I know.
Well, we could do something about it at least. Vias probably at this point has come back and is like just dusting his hands off a little bit.
Yeah, I think Diana's falling on his heels, just kind of. Well, I mean, if we can confirm that it is actually. That's not a story, and that's not.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I trust Mercy. And she gives him like an incredulous look at this point, and he just like throws his hands up. He's like, I'm sorry, you're still a bird? So,
The bird, Lena, came from outside, where it was quite happily living before it was let in to my house.
That's not true.
What?
It wanted in.
Okay, but just because a bird knocks on your window doesn't mean you just let it into your house.
And why not?
Because it's a house, Talia. We don't have birds in here unless you're keeping one as a pet or a familiar, I guess. She sort of looks around and Mercy and Marcus and is like, yeah, okay, those are different, but...
while you guys are talking, Vias inches toward Lita and just kind of recounts what happened and says, so, Susanna kind of went to the graveyard and there was that bird, and Mercy, I saw through her eyes. The mockingbird is not exactly what it seems. It seems to possess a body and flickers in and out. I don't know. And it looked very similar to Susanna, or part of her. Mercy says it's something, I don't know. Yeah.
What does divine sense do again? Hold on. I play a paladin. I should know this. Let me see.
Isn't it fiends, fae, undead, or celestials or something, like sense their presence?
Something like that, but I can't remember exactly.
I don't remember either.
Divine sense. I got it pulled up. It is not juicy to divine sense. It is not.
What about pinging the things that have been consecrated or desecrated?
Oh, I didn't realize it did that. Actually, in that case, Amy, let me send you something real quick.
Oh shit.
Oh, it is juicy.
Something's juicy. This house, possibly?
I swear there's definitely something hidden in the basement.
Oh my god, Parker, it like... I don't know. I don't know what to say to that.
I mean, PK, I will remind you.
Basements are for secrets.
Look, there are things to be found. I just can't say anything about anything. But I don't know.
But we're all dumbasses. Dana is gonna... I mean... Again, I don't know if it is actually what... I don't even know if those stories are real. And now... But apparently there was a way to fix it.
To fix it. All right. So to fix it, meaning if we, for the sake of argument, completely hypothetical, if this bird is somehow a part of me, fixing it would be somehow putting it back into me.
Mm-hmm.
Vias will kind of face down and says, then is there like a ritual that you know?
She looks helpless because it's just... Remember, these are stories she was told that until very recently she thought had no grounding.
Vias doesn't necessarily know that, but yeah, he...
Yeah. Well, I mean... Marty used to tell me that the stories were... that they were connected by this tether. It was like spider silk. It was that fine. And when that tether was connected, it could always find its way back home. And if that tether got severed, you could substitute something to let it reform. It wasn't the wording she used, but it was
So, what you're thinking is that possibly a tether that tied part of Susanna's soul to her body got severed somehow.
Yeah. She said that it can happen when there's a lot of pain and fear, and that it makes people more easily come into line. That wasn't the wording she used, but it was... I don't know.
And
Can Vice try and roll like a something to see if he's ever heard of anything like this?
make a religion check.
Oh boy, does he even have proficiency in it? Yes, he does. Okay, but he is shit at religion. What is your deal, dude? Oh, an 18. Okay.
18. Yeah, okay. So the more Diona is talking about this, the more you feel like you must have heard something about this. Motherfucker, there's ink on my sheets. Hold on. Where is
no.
that coming from? Sorry.
It's all good.
Okay, it is coming from the uncapped fountain pen. Great.
Oh
Smart
shit.
me.
Yes, uncapped fountain pens tend to leak ink.
Yeah,
Yikes.
yeah. Okay, so Vias, the more Diamond is talking about this and the more you're thinking, you feel like at least the one part, the bit about a soul being able to be somehow severed or parted from the body in a more permanent way than just dreaming, that sounds like something that you have heard is at least possible. It sounds like it's something like a tether could snap and the soul could be left roaming free. But typically, when that happens, the body is just like an empty shell that doesn't do anything. So, that's what you get about that. There's your information.
Okay.
Susanna's robot theory comes crashing back 2 years later.
God, throw back to that theory.
Oh my god. She is warforged. I think Vias then would probably speak that aloud to the group, just say, look, not a lot of the knowledge I learned in my stuff, a bunch of home tutor classes and religious studies and things. I mean, I learned a little bit, but it didn't necessarily stick too much, but I do remember some theories and things about tethers of souls to bodies, and usually it leaves the body a husk, not inhabited by a soul.
I think at this point Talia raises their hand.
Yes, Tulse?
Okay, alright, does anyone want to give me a quick explanation of what a soul is? Or
Oh
am
my
I just
God.
gonna roll with this?
It is kind of like what makes up everyone's thought process and what defines them as a living being. It's a very hard concept to grasp even for us. Oh no. Did I confuse you? I'm so sorry.
It's
It's the part of yourself that is what gets latched onto for a resurrection.
Does Talia know what a resurrection is?
Yes, Talia knows what a resurrection is. They know that. They do have a slight expression of that sounds fake, but okay.
The Talia story.
Fias just sighs and says, we can have a theoretical discussion about souls later, probably.
I'm not sure a theoretical discussion is what is needed. I think a very practical discussion is what is needed, because apparently, I might be missing mine.
And Vias kind of glances at Lena and says, "You went to visit the Church of Pelor here, right? Do you think maybe we can talk to that, what was their name? Anna, I think? Whoever was
Wait,
the
hold
clerical
on.
person
Okay.
there."
Talia raises their hand again.
Talia.
So if this soul thing is yeah, and I'm just gonna run on the idea that they exist. Which isn't, sold for me, but let's say they do. Susanna, okay, alright, if it's part of you and in fact is what you are, you should be able to just order it around with its true name.
What?
Faye.
Pardon?
If you just okay, alright, listen, okay.
Okay.
The reason I tend to give people a different name is because if you give out your true name to people and they have the right sort of power, they can use it to do all sorts of nasty things to you.
Automancy.
So, usually including making you do their will in some form or way. If Susanna gave that someone probably of magical ability, probably not me, her true name, and the thing in the bird is her, we might just be able to tell it to go back.
Okay. Here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. Is my true name not just Susanna? I don't know what a true name is.
It,
Usually on the material plane, we don't know what our true name is right away. If we know it at all.
I have like one name. I mean, admittedly, I've had several surnames, but I have one name. I'm Susanna.
I mean, you all do have typically 2 or more names, so it's probably one of those, like Susanna something something. It might be Crow. I doubt it's Crow. If it was Crow, we would have known by now.
So like my maiden name, like Susanna Rigby, Susanna May Rigby, Susanna Rigby Crow. There's a lot of combinations that one can do, given that I have a middle name and have been married.
I mean, you could sit there and try every combination, I guess.
And you think I just don't.
And even then, it might not even work.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Talia. I truly appreciate the suggestion because it's the most practical thing that's come out of this conversation yet. But I also feel like I just don't know a thing about anything we're talking about right now. I don't know anything about magic. I don't know anything about names. I don't know anything about souls, frankly. And it's a little bit, what's the word? Stressful? Yeah.
Well, if we don't know it, and I certainly don't have, true name, so I guess it's kind of a bust then.
Thank you, Talia.
They just kind of like hands kind of against the floor.
Taking full advantage of the fact you're using me as a pillow, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
Well, then I'm out of ideas.
Well, a idea is better than no ideas.
I have a theory, possibly.
Uh-oh.
No, don't say uh-oh. It's grounded in magical theory.
Oh, God.
Stop.
Fine, I'll stop.
Anyways, what I'm thinking, and bear with me, because you're not dead,
I should hope so.
there's things like raise dead and resurrection rituals you can do to offer, what would you say, beckon the spirit back and allow it to be returned to a body that no longer has a soul in it. I mean, you are obviously alive, but
This is true.
it has
There
a
are
similar
limits on
yes,
such things. Time
and,
limits.
and money is involved with these spells.
Money is not my concern. We can find the money if it'll work.
I know.
I'm more worried about how long it's been.
But
How do I tell how long it's
What do you
been
think,
since
Jess?
I haven't had a soul? How does that even work?
A lot longer than any gifts I have to fix it. That's all I know.
I mean,
Well,
Bias, you work with the Ladies of Fate, right?
Well, I work with one lady of faith and I follow the faith of another lady, yes. My lady and...
That's a needlessly complicated way to put that, by the way. In case you were wondering, that's an unnecessarily complicated way to talk about it.
Dual faith was raised in my family, so I
right, but you
suppose
could just
both.
say that. You don't have to say like a 60-word sentence about.
Vias puts his hands on his hips. He says, "Look, working for the Moonweaver is much different in theory than working with the goddess of death. So, I would be a different person, probably."
Anyway,
Yes. Anyways, what were you considering?
you might be able to fake that tether, She sort of makes a bit of a frustrated gesture, like she's trying to figure out figure out the word.
Vias kind of like rocks back on his heels and like he looks a little bit stressed. He's like, "Wait, no, I can't weave fates together. That's something like, oh my god, no."
I'm not saying weaving fates. That's not something I'd wish on anyone. I'm saying you might be able to pull on their influences on you and to allow you to anchor a thread to use as a tether. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying...
I mean, in theory, it could work, but I would probably need all of your help. I petitioned the goddess of death once to not take my sister, so maybe that will... He just kind of crosses his arms and frowns.
Well, I can't speak for anyone else, but Susanna,
That's my name.
you want us to try. And I understand if you don't, and if you don't, I will leave it.
I don't even. Okay, here's the problem. All right, here, listen.
Oh.
So,
May I finish, please?
no, you may not finish yet because I have something to say, and I think this is my business more than it is yours. No offense, but if this is my soul, then I assume it involves me a little bit more than it involves anybody else. So I'm sorry if I'm being bossy, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Okay.
If this is my soul, that's my question. How do you tell? How do we know? What if it's not me? What if it's just a bird and Mercy was hallucinating? Or what if it's just a bird with a soul, but it's somebody else's soul? And what if it's like, how do I even know?
Talia, I think, stands up and walks over to the bird and just... Susanna May Ripley?
It taps on the mantle.
They look over at Susanna and then back at the bird and goes, "Okay. Okay. Okay, treat it like Stora. 1 tap for yes, 2 taps for no. Are you Susanna?
It taps once.
Talia looks over at Susanna, and if they understood what a dab was, they would.
I love them.
Okay.
Also,
First of all, that was the funniest fucking thing you could have ever said if they understood what a dab was.
yeah. Lena is being good too.
Oh,
Bless.
Lena is
Yeah.
asking questions. Okay. Susanna looks at Lena and says, I mean, the thing with me is when I get stressed, I tend to feel like fainting. You know, that's just sort of what happens. So it's a little bit difficult to tell. I'm feeling okay. I think I'm just really, I'm very, very stressed, and it's hard to tell anything outside of that, but I think I'm okay. Why? Nasty in the spiritual sense. That is
That's certainly a statement you just made.
that's a descriptor, certainly.
It is very gross.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, everyone. Welcome to my hometown. I'm so glad you could come and give me a visit.
I mean, we've been visiting with you for quite a while, however. I mean, I think it's a charming place. But I
Charmin.
guess...
At least,
Okay,
at least.
fuck it,
that's
I'm unmuting because it's easier than typing all this shit out.
Amy.
And it's kind of quiet, but I'm croaky and coughing.
Aw.
Lena's just like, well, you see, the temple kind of felt, like the temple does, and it was normal, and this place kind of, it's like bugs crawling on my skin, and there's something kind of not right around this house, and I just thought that might be affecting you, and then the bird appeared, and the bird is creepy, just, for the record.
It says it's Susanna.
The bird, which is me. So I'm creepy. Oh, great. I'm creepy, and my house is creepy, and my town is creepy.
Susanna, she
No,
did
no.
not say that.
Not the town, just there's something kind of not right in the ground around this place. It's
Okay.
when somebody scrapes a knife against the plate and it makes that horrible screeching noise and it goes right over all of your nerve endings. Doing that to me.
Okay,
Yeah, Virus
right.
gives a shiver in agreement.
Cool.
I mean,
Cool.
Talia looks at the bird again and goes, "Would you like to be reunited with the body?"
It taps, and then it hops up and down as if to say, "Oh yeah, that's what I've been trying to fucking say this whole goddamn time." If birds could talk.
Are you a piece or the entirety?
You have to ask a yes or no.
It tilts
Oh.
its head at you as if to say, "How the fuck am I gonna answer that?"
Are you a piece of Susanna's soul?
Double tap.
Are you all of her soul?
Single tap.
oh god damn it.
Talia just has this look of, I have won.
Talia.
I have achieved
really?
victory.
I think Diana does step over to Talia and just gives them a look.
Are we just really trusting the bird to actually be able to, Are we really trusting the bird?
I mean, obviously not, but it's at least communicating with us. That tells us something.
Okay, fair point.
We did do a test about the good and evil thing. It didn't seem evil, yes?
Did I get a vibe from it?
It was a different sort of slight necromancy aura than the crows and the town and all the other stuff, so it was different. You don't know if any of it is good or evil, though you assume that the undead crows are evil, but it doesn't ping as undead, and it has a different sort of aura than the crows and the town. So that's what you know.
Okay.
I mean,
Oh.
for what it's worth, Vias, you said that the bird appeared while Susanna was in the graveyard. The graveyard felt clean, normal for a place full of dead people. That might not be the best qualifier statement I've ever made, but you know what I mean.
Well, I mean, that sort of makes sense. I know a lot of people think the graveyards are haunted and such, but sometimes graveyards are the cleanest of places, where a soul gets to rest finally, where their body's at peace. So maybe trying something there would help. I'm grasping at straws.
I agree, though, that we can't just assume that everything this bird is saying is true. It could be.
Okay, so there were some people back where I come from that can do a spell that makes you tell the truth.
That's the one. That's what I was thinking about, Talia.
I do have that ability, just not today.
Oh, God.
Do you need to take a nap or something?
I also have that ability, but not today.
No, didn't study.
I didn't, it didn't occur to me that maybe in this place of all places I should take Zone of Truth, okay?
Back on it.
Oof.
Back on it.
I mean, thinking back on it, maybe
Oh my God. I mean,
I took some other very useful spells, like, protection, protection from poison, and
oh God.
Good spell. Good.
Amanda.
In character.
God, that's just funny.
Talia just goes, I mean, I guess. It's not like my group needed Zone of Truth much when you're dealing with Fae, but like, come on. There have been exactly 2 Fae that I've run into so far, and the majority of everybody else can lie, so why the fuck don't you keep Zone of Truth just like on hand?
Bias gives like an incredulous look at Talia because Talia is going off right now and he does not understand where this fire came from.
Can I insight check the bird?
You want to insight check the bird? Yeah, I guess.
Does it seem like
Turn back to Susanna.
does the bird seem
What?
sketchy? I don't know.
I'm just saying,
Okay.
if this is something you want, I want to help as much as possible. However, it is ultimately your choice.
Well, I suppose that's pretty. And she just sort of trails off into a long string of words that Diona recognizes. That other people don't.
swears.
She's fucking cursing her mouth off in Orcish, and then eventually she sort of gets out of that
Susanna,
track
I
and
only
she says,
recognized about a quarter of those words. I'm kind of impressed.
"Oh, shut up."
She gives you a very
That is just a gap in your education, darling.
well. It's a gap you might have to fill.
I'm
And
not
clearly doing
teaching
your
you how
best
to
to
cuss
fill.
in Orcish. You'll have to ask Ada about that.
Oh, so that's what you were doing.
Oh, don't you start.
I could teach you a few Marquesian to see if you can lift that language up more.
Oh, Lord. That's not the point. That's not the point. That's not the point. Okay. What the hell?
Game plan. What are we going to do?
Whatever happens from here, get final choice. You are the one most affected.
Well, I mean, yeah, I don't think you're gonna tie a soul into my body without me having some measure of choice about it, though.
Oh,
But
to be honest, I think from what I've heard, a soul will only go to a body that it's supposed to go into. If you try to fit a soul that is not yours in a body, it's just not gonna work.
Talia has a big doubt.png expression.
I have to say that, Vias, I know you are the expert here, but I have to say I somehow feel that that isn't true because I don't know if you recall the jungle.
In 99.87% of cases.
Talia still has big doubt expression.
He was okay. I need to roll a deception check for him because he was trying to lie.
I really appreciate the
yeah, no, he got a 14.
I really appreciate that you were trying to make me feel better, but unfortunately, my memory's not quite that bad yet.
Well, either way, it
I
will
think
be
at this
fine,
point-
hopefully.
I think at this point, with that comment, with like kind of everything going on, Talia is going to lean to the bird and say very quietly, "Do you remember things?"
It looks at you, and it does one tap, and it looks at you, and it sort of bows its head.
Talia will keep that information to themselves.
Okay.
Oh boy.
Hmm.
To be fair, Mercy was on that banister, but that's okay. She probably
Mercy's
was.
distracted by how
Yeah.
dumb Bias was being.
She's just watching her boy like that's mine. There he is.
That is
That's
somehow.
That's
Boy.
fine. Why you like this?
yeah.
All right. Here's. I mean, maybe I'm wrong about this, but if that isn't my soul, right? Then I must already have a soul, right? Like, if that's not my soul, then my soul must still be here, right? Because if it wasn't for that, we wouldn't have any reason to expect that my soul was anywhere else. So if it's something that's trying to lie and pretend to be my soul, which I can't imagine why you would, then it couldn't. Then it wouldn't even work because I'm not empty, right?
Susanna, do you remember that point when you kind of got taken over by that ghost?
We're talking about the jungle again. I know that much.
But you don't.
I mean, I remember fighting. Yes, I do remember that. I remember other people having problems. Yes, I remember that. I remember there being ghosts. Yes, I remember that.
Do you remember anything about when one of them took you over?
I wasn't aware that I should have. Remembered, that is. Or noticed, I guess, or I don't know.
Pius glances at Diona.
I can only speak to my experience. I can't speak to how Talia felt under that, or
Wait, what? I zoned out.
I'm talking about when we were Destinapoli.
Ah,
To me, it felt like something else was under my skin, and I was aware, but I couldn't fight it.
Talia nods in agreement.
Okay.
I was aware of what it was doing, and I was aware of, but I couldn't fight it. It was in everything, and it felt like it was crowding me out.
All right. Well, that sounds terrible. I think I'm probably the lucky one. Okay. So this is what your way of telling me that you think I am empty then.
Talia just could make like a noise.
Pius like opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again, and just kind of like doesn't know how to answer.
Yeah,
I
okay,
don't
that's fair.
think you're
I mean,
empty.
there's no good answer to this because no matter what I say, you're gonna take it as a.
I can take anything as an insult if I try hard enough.
I agree
Yeah,
with
I know.
Lena. There's you are a person.
I should hope I'm a person. What else would I be, an aardvark?
Actually,
If
Lena
you are a
does.
druid.
It's like that. As far as I can tell, it's like that watch he made. It's still fine on the outside, and there's just a piece or two missing. It can still tick. It can still work.
Maybe now is not the time to imply her clockmaking skills are a bit
That-
shoddy, Diana.
If it's missing a piece, and she just kind of frustrated noise and.
Talia, I would just like to say I so appreciate you.
Thank you.
Talia
You
is one of
just
the
see,
best.
I didn't even have to be insulted that time because you were insulted for me. Ugh, this is wonderful. I don't know what to say. I think I'm gonna say it anyway, even though I don't know what to say. I'm glad that I'm not here alone.
Talia has a whole moment to themselves in the corner of emotions.
Yeah. Vias just like puts a hand on his chest, like, oh my god, my heart.
Susanna's not looking at any of you. She's looking at the ceiling and she's like fidgeting with her hands, trying really hard to be like, I totally didn't just say that. It's chill. It's fine.
Not glad to be here, but I'm glad we're here with you.
Yeah, I mean, good. I've gone on a couple of travels before, but I haven't met people like you before, or any of you, and it's very, very nice. I would never have met better people, I don't think.
Oh, sure you would have.
Sure. With my luck, I'd be dead in the ditch by now.
I've never really understood those phrases because, like, how likely is it that you really get killed in the ditch, right? How much time does the average person spend in the ditch?
I mean, if you're on the side of a road, then maybe you would be in a ditch, so...
Right, but, like, if I killed someone on the side of the road, I wouldn't leave them in a ditch. That's too close to the road.
It is a good way to get caught.
Why is just
Well, if you
shrugs.
want to get out quick, maybe you don't have time to hide the body.
Hit and
I
run?
think we're getting off topic.
Sorry, yeah, that was off topic. God, we're morbid, aren't we? Bird soul. I mean, do we want to try this? When do we want to try this?
It's up to Susanna.
Oh, my.
We could have the festivities whenever whoever it was that was planning those things, we could do those. And then we could try it.
Okay. So now I need to figure this out though, because this is actually relevant to the fact that I am on a visit home to see my family. Oh goodness. Okay. I'm so tired.
I have a question that I don't know if anyone could answer, but why did the bird stay here? If it's a part of Susanna, it clearly wants to be reunited. Why did it stay
Maybe
here? Why didn't
can't
it leave
leave?
the city?
Maybe it can't leave. I don't know.
Maybe it's safer here, or maybe it will just.
Because, Lena, you said
But-
that whatever that is that you're feeling, it was worse here. Right?
Yeah, around the house. Not just the house, but kind of surrounding it. It feels like... I don't know about deliberately desecrated, but it kind of feels like desecrated ground.
Well, they murdered a bunch of ravens, apparently.
But
I
not
don't
right
know,
here.
right?
Not personally,
But
not
that
personally.
murder-
People a long time ago theoretically might have murdered some ravens up on the hill. That's
That
not.
monster's right.
That
Well,
wouldn't...
all
Not
Talia
just
knows
them.
that's a blackbird
I know,
hung
but
on
that-
Dylan's shoulder.
That's actually what Diana says is Mox is a raven.
Oh, okay. And then Talia goes, okay, I guess that makes sense, I guess. And now is under the belief that all ravens are vaguely magical.
If you can find one of the living crows at some point, I'll show you the difference between how to tell the difference between a crow and a raven.
Oh, I think I've got that.
Okay.
Ravens are bigger and they sound different.
Yeah, they also have mimicking skills. Their voice.
I don't think it's the point of this conversation.
Sorry, I am very interested in birds, so...
You can tell me about birds later. I will be happy to listen about birds. I need some actual facts to put in the tome. That's not just a bunch of question marks.
Vaira,
Yes.
I've always it didn't just show up when you guys got here. It was here for a little while last year before everything happened. It was around, and I never really saw it flying. So I guess like it flies a little bit, like almost hopping from place to place, but I never saw it flying, so I just sort of assumed that it had a broken wing because I thought it was a normal bird, and I couldn't think of why else a normal bird would stay here in amongst all the crows. But so I don't know. Can souls have broken wings? I don't. Maybe that's a dumb question too, but that's what I thought. That's always what I thought. I asked Ivis once, and he thought I was crazy because he never saw it.
Hey, PK, question for you.
Yeah.
Does the mockingbird seem to favor a particular side?
Yeah, does it favor the right leg?
Or the right wing?
I mean, it has been sitting this whole time.
Does it have any, like, scarring or anything? That
If you wanna look at the bird, you can look at the bird.
I would like to look at bird. Is it
I think
perception?
Diana's gonna look at the bird, and I think she's actually gonna sort of reach a gentle hand out and let it...
It'll hop onto your hand, and yeah, you know what? You're looking at it. You can see it's got a little bit of something going on that right wing. There's a little mess up. Maybe that's not quite shaped right for a bird
Also,
wing.
next question.
Yeah.
If it hops onto her hand, like, how does it feel hopped on her hand? Like, what's the sort of sensation?
It feels, you see it on your hand, and you kind of feel the feet, but it's weightless. There's no anything to it. You feel like you could take your hand away and it would stay there, or you could, it just feels like it's almost not there, but you can feel the tiny little claws touching your skin, but there's no pressure.
She's going to very gently take a hand, finger out, and sort of brush it down the bird's back, focusing on that grounding sensation that lets her touch.
Yeah. So you are able to make contact with this bird.
Yeah.
Who knows if it is the same for anybody else? I don't know. But you can make contact with it. There's no weight to it.
Very gently pet the mockingbird.
Cool.
Very gently.
The mockingbird does not protest this. It's a bird, so its facial expressions are pretty limited, but it's chilling. Yeah, that's that on that.
Well,
all right. Okay. This is not what I was expecting from a visit home.
Why don't we leave this till morning and discuss what we want to do later?
That sounds lovely. I could do with some sleep.
and plus, who knows if that pottery thing is going to happen yet?
Oh, good Lord. It'll be tomorrow or the next day. I don't know. Mrs. Tucker, she's quick about these things, but she'll probably want to find out a little bit more about you, though I'm sure she already knows more about you than you think she does. Lord. I
Not
miss
gonna
it.
ask.
Yeah,
How?
it feels like everyone worth knowing in this town knows more about us than we think they do.
Yeah, that's the thing. Mrs. Tucker is the. You all think you've met some gossips in this town. You all think you might have met a gossip when you met me. You've never met Mrs. Tucker before. Her 3 grandchildren are always running around town, listening and watching, and they're sneaky little boys too, and they will always come back and tell Granny exactly what they saw, what they heard, and who they heard it from. And she knows more about what goes on in this town than most people who live here, and in fact, probably everyone but Miss Ida. I think she knows more than even Marion. She knows. She just keeps an eye out, and it's not malicious. She just likes to know. She doesn't tell anybody what she knows, but she likes to know. She's greedy. She's a gossip. It's real interesting.
Vice kind of thinks back to his chat with Dylan down the street and is like, "Uh-oh, I hope I didn't get overheard."
Oh, you probably did.
Oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I don't think there was anything too incriminating there, but oh well. Anyways.
So, sleep.
I guess that's a thing we should
Want me
do.
to let this back outside?
Might not be the best idea. Talia pipes in.
Would it even go?
Susanna looks at the mockingbird and she says, "Well, do you want to go back outside?" And it does 2 little taps on Diona's hand.
Let
And
the
Susanna
poor thing
says,
in.
"No, leave it inside. Let it stay inside. Just don't break any of my things. Your things. Our things. I don't know. You're not even real."
I mean, Susanna, we can see it. It's probably real.
Yeah, you can see it. That's nice. I really did think I was crazy before.
I mean, we can see it, and I am currently holding it.
I
Vice.
never tried to hold it.
Maybe you should try then.
Oh, Lord. I'm scared.
You've held Mercy before.
I've held Mercy before, but Mercy and that mockingbird are not the same thing, and you know it. Or maybe, I don't know.
She kind of fluffs up her feathers a little bit, but like chitters.
Well, what about it? You telling me you're a mockingbird? I don't think so.
She just chitters at you again.
Rude. Susanna will hold out her hand for the mockingbird.
Yeah,
left
Diana's
hand.
gonna sort of move her hand very gently, like give enough space for the mockingbird to pop if it can.
It does not seem to want to hop.
Uh-oh.
But you can sort of gently try to transfer it in a delicate way if you would like to continue doing so.
I think if Susanna seems unwilling and the bird seems unwilling, it's gonna, okay,
You know, that's all right. We're barely acquaintances at this point. It would be rude to go for a handshake, I think. Also, I did try to shoot it, which I suppose was rude considering. I am sorry. I did know that my gun was unloaded. So,
Mercy mimics the clicking sound of the gun that went off without the shot.
it wasn't just lucky chance. I knew it was unloaded. I just wanted to shoot something, which, you know, been a minute, but it's fine. And Yeah, I'm sorry. If you are my soul, I will not try to shoot you again. I think.
Does it seem inclined to leave its perch on Diana's hand?
It doesn't seem like it's intending to get up and go anywhere, but it seems like it doesn't. It's not like latched onto your hand or anything. It seems like if you want to set it down somewhere else, you could set it down somewhere else.
I mean, honestly, I think Diana, at the moment, Diana's good to let it keep perching until she needs to. Just, I need to shift. Oh, okay. She's content to just let it perch and be slightly carrying the bird for the next bit.
That's fair. Diana Mobile.
Diana Transport.
All right. Cool. Nice. Fun. This is great. This is a good time. I am enjoying myself thoroughly.
I'm sorry, Susanna. I didn't mean to pressure you.
Oh, no, that's all right. I think it was bound to happen sooner or later. And no, never mind. It's just, this is weird. I'm sorry. I really thought maybe we would have a nice few days here and you could meet some people and then we could leave and it would be all right and there wouldn't really be anything. I thought we could just have a nice... But no.
Well, to be fair, I think we've...
Nice, and it has been nice getting to meet some of the people you care about.
Yeah, I agree with this. I just think it's probably a good thing we came here, maybe? What else?
I mean, even without this, I'm glad we came here to be able to support you and spend time around you.
Oh, now you're just being needlessly sweet.
It's nice to know about things for people that you like, so...
That was a sentence.
Susanna, I'm just overwhelmed.
I shouldn't make fun of you. I know Common isn't your first language.
Thank you.
That doesn't mean I won't make fun of you. I just know that I shouldn't.
There's a weird order that Marquesian goes in that is like opposite of Common. It's very, very strange. I can't... Yeah. Conversation for later.
Talia is back on the floor.
They starfished out. Just
Yeah, they're just
I
like
love it.
Like, I live here now.
They're vibing.
They are carpet. Well, I suppose we should retire for the night. It's been a day.
It has been a day. Astute observation.
Days generally tend to be like that.
And I think it would do us all...
What sort of days have you been having that generally tend to be like this?
Talia raises their hand.
Okay, what?
All of them?
Talia,
Every single
Lately,
one.
yes.
you are such an exception to the rule.
I mean, I would argue that most of the days since I met you guys have been days like this. I'm not objecting.
I'm objecting. Where do I file a complaint?
Sorry you're stuck
I mean,
here
yeah,
for
that
a
is an
while.
owl, so maybe thou.
Firestone, did you drink all of my whiskey?
Wise kind of like adjusts himself and just like scoots the bottle. Wait, no?
I've got more if we need it.
I had maybe 2 thimbles. It's fine.
I would like a drink.
Yes! And I can buy you some more whiskey if need be.
Oh, no, that's fine. It's a special occasion for me, drinking, Only proper to do it at weddings and funerals. And the last time I drank was at my husband's funeral, and right now I feel like drinking again, so I don't care.
We aren't going to tell anyone.
I should hope not. I'd shoot you if you did.
Diana just grins. You try.
Oh, I would be successful.
She's very strong.
Just because she's strong doesn't mean I can't shoot her. Lots of people are strong.
I was talking about you, Susanna. But
Oh,
okay.
I'm strong. I'm not strong. I'm just quick.
Same
Oh,
difference.
that's a kind of strength.
Well,
Yeah, it's not what me and Lena work in, but it's a kind of strength.
you're
you're
right,
quick
but neither of
and
you are
good at
particularly
aim.
quick.
But yes, we will not tell anybody about drinking. I think it is just fine.
I got
and-
very drunk at my husband's funeral. Don't tell anybody about that either. Everybody kept offering me drinks and asking if I'd had any, and I kept saying no.
I mean, that is a valid answer for coping.
And then,
Talking about the drinks that make you feel wibbly.
oh yes, oh yes.
The good ones, yes.
And then, Cynthia, bless her heart, she thought I was still looking a little bit distressed, so she thought maybe she'd give me some tea, some special tea, if you catch my meaning. And that was nice too.
Oh no, mixing with drinking, that is not.
It was really, it was better. I think that made the whole experience better. I don't
Oh, no.
like funerals very much.
Talia's confused again.
But I think that was
the doll here have one drug, and it's shrooms.
shroom time.
Eat those shrooms.
The most fun funeral I'd ever been to.
So yeah, I assume we settle to bed?
Yep, Susanna drinks a little bit, maybe a little bit more than she should, and then she goes to bed pretty much.
Talia would also like to drink.
Talia can drink with Susanna.
Yeah, Vice is gonna refrain because he already had a little bit.
You did
so
already have some.
He
Talia
is
already
pleasantly
had
warm.
shit ton of stuff back at Ida's, but they don't understand alcohol.
I
No,
love Talia.
Talia, I love them.
Yeah,
I think if Talia starts drinking, Diana might just, hey, be careful, you don't want to make yourself sick with that.
I can do what now?
so.
If you drink too much, it can make you sick.
Oh, yeah, that's the other thing. Day after the funeral, worst day after the funeral I've ever had.
I mean, I remember having a headache after Eppley.
Yeah, no, you can get very sick.
Headache and nausea, and everything becomes too much.
They nod.
But it's so fun while it lasts.
Talia makes another considering face and then drinks more.
Hell yeah.
I'm not even gonna roll con saves. I think they get like cuddly level of drunk.
Oh, mood. Bias is also a cuddler when he drinks. Good luck, Dylan.
Nope. So yeah.
Well, if Diana hangs around, at some point Talia's just like, nah.
I'm sure Diana does.
Class.
Good
Now she
content.
possibly shifts the mockingbird so it's like on her shoulders so that she can.
The mockingbird allows this.
Susie Bird.
Who knows? But yeah, so
Sigh.
you all drink and get cuddly or handsy, depending, and you have a surprisingly relaxed rest of the evening, and you all just sort of make your way to sleep time at your own pace, unless there's anything specific anybody would like to do before.
No, but Talia definitely asks Diana if this world has the funny shrooms.
How funny are we talking? Like you know, they start you get all like this, and you see shit. Yes. Good.
Okay, I'm gonna prepare some of Vias's spells too, because he's got a prepare druid spells.
So, everybody prepare your spells. Zone of Truth, I assume, because nobody had that prepped, which is fine.
Yep.
It's funnier.
You know what? Vice is gonna leave the healing to you guys. He's gonna take some charm person here.
Oh.
I don't know.
Boy.
That's exciting concept. Yeah. So the morning
Is the
happens.
Mockingbird still there in the morning?
Yeah, so at some point the mockingbird sort of left. Diona, you didn't really notice. You were a bit distracted with Talia and their talk of mushrooms and all the drunk cuddles that were happening. But as you all sort of one by one make your way out into the main area in the morning, the mockingbird is sitting on the arm of a rocking chair that is there, that Susanna sits in most of the time. And it's chilling. It's vibing.
Birdie.
Burp.
Burba. Yes. Oh, I need to text Josh something because that's important.
Oh boy.
Raven Dream?
Yeah, something like that.
Or a astonishing lack of Raven dreams.
Who knows?
Big oof. Yeah, I think Vice is still continuing his streak of bad sleep, but he doesn't look horrible. He still got sleep. It's just that, yeah.
It's just a
Probably
slightly shitty sleep.
Little bit sick in the morning, but is like, this is fine. It's not as bad as the shroom come down.
Just drink some water, you'll get over it in time. You're just dehydrated.
To see if Susanna's doing okay.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
boy.
stop with that laughter!
I'm sorry, it's how I laugh. That's just my genuine 100% real laughter. I don't know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
okay.
Oh, Susanna looks like shit.
Oh no, no!
boy.
Susanna rolled a 2.
Fuck.
Susanna.
Sorry, I just said fuck very loudly.
Yeah, that's fair. Susanna looks terrible. She doesn't have her veil on when she first comes out. She's like halfway dressed. She's a mess, and she's got like dark circles under her eyes, and she looks like crap.
Oh no.
But she just comes and she sits in the rocking chair, not even noticing the mockingbird. She just sits there, like sort of like, ugh.
Vice is gonna go try and wet a towel and just to like cool it off, and then probably give it to her to put under her eyes.
She takes the cold towel and she takes the tea from Lena and she sips at the one and dabs with the other and is just sort of sitting there looking a little bit regretful. Not a ton, but a little bit. Make a medicine check, Lena.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I was curious too. Come on, Nina. Ooh, it's not bad.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I'll just message you.
Hands hurt. Dang it.
Now, is Diana able to start doing breakfast before we have someone show up, or?
Yeah, you can start doing
Okay.
breakfast before somebody shows up, whoever that somebody might be.
Quickly, make breakfast before we're interrupted.
Make breakfast before a visitor arrives.
I think Talia has like their like fake ass monk robes kind of just like around them, and they're grumpy like table chair.
How you feeling, Talia?
It's not the worst I've ever felt.
It's not the worst I've ever felt either.
If you want, I can probably take care of that hangover.
No, it's fine. I just want food.
Drink lots of
Susanna?
water, it'll help.
I'm okay.
Suit yourself.
You suit yourself.
And here, I thought that's what we did. Suit ourselves and nobody else.
Shut up. Don't talk to me.
No.
Don't talk to me. I'm busy. I'm busy.
Yes,
Uh-huh.
obviously.
I am busy doing important hostess things. That is what I do. Diona, you can make breakfast easy enough. It's a pretty yummy breakfast. You're glad at the chance to flex your breakfast skills since Cynthia stole that chance yesterday. And
It's very particular particularly a hangover breakfast.
perfect. Yeah, Susanna doesn't bother getting up and setting up the table like she did for dinner last night. She doesn't give a shit. She will just eat wherever she eats, and everybody else can eat wherever they eat.
At her most gremlin while we're traveling. She knows she doesn't have to.
Yeah, I mean,
Pleasantries in this household? No thanks.
Susanna is currently allergic to pleasantries.
Oh, bless her. I am too.
You've
Hashtag relatable.
all
I feel like Susanna would be a lot healthier if she was just allergic to pleasantries also. Full stop.
Yeah, that would be probably nice, but unfortunately, it's a very temporary condition.
Yeah.
So you've all been sitting, chilling after breakfast. Talia, you're feeling a little bit better. You're doing all right. And the doorbell rings.
There
And-
it is.
Susanna sits up, and she says, "I don't have a doorbell," and she puts her head back in her hands. And the door opens, and you see the by now getting to be somewhat familiar face of Lagerta from Idle Hands. And she says, "Good morning." And
Good
Susanna
morning,
says,
Miss Lagerta.
Susanna says, "Gertie." And Gertie leans in. Her feet are still outside the threshold, and she leans in and she says, "May I come in?" And Susanna says, "Come in." And she steps on in. You see her slipping a little bell into her pocket, which she brought purposefully for the purpose of being an asshole and ringing it outside the door. And
Pius just shakes his head.
shuts the door behind her and says, "Hello, how do I find everybody this morning? I hope you're all well."
We're doing agreeably.
Just about to have breakfast.
You're pretty much in the middle of breakfast at the moment. Bias is probably a little late, actually, so he's just sitting down to have breakfast.
Yeah, he probably has been trying to sleep in a little bit.
"Oh, I would love some tea. Yes, thank you very much." And she eagerly takes the offered cup of tea, and she nods at you, Lena. And Susanna says, "Gertie, should you be here right now?" And Gertie says, "Why, yes, of course. I'm on Mr. Bell's business, and Mr. Bell's business means that it's okay for me to be here." And Susanna says, "So what business is it?" And Gertie sits down, makes herself perfectly at home on the arm of the couch,
Of course she does. Because she sits like a big old bisexual.
and she sips her tea, and she doesn't seem to be in any particular rush to answer Susanna's question. In fact, she just sort of looks around at you all. She doesn't make any motion to answer Susanna's question at all.
Pius's eye twitches just slightly.
Dona is actually more amused than anything.
"Gertie? Yes? You want to tell me why you're here?"
No.
She takes a sip of her tea again. And then she sort of relents and she says, "Oh yes, well, first of all, I bring a little gift." She sets her tea aside and produces from somewhere, you're not sure where, produces from somewhere 2 bottles. One appears to be of whiskey, the other of wine. And she says, "Compliments of Mr. Bell. She thought perhaps you might like these, seeing how you preferred her drink." And hands one off to Vias and one off to Lena. Just because I've decided they were the closest.
Yes! Vias is immediately in a better mood. He's like, fuck yeah, wine!
Yep.
That's very thoughtful.
Yes, the Mr. Bell is very thoughtful, isn't she? You're welcome, dear. And Susanna looks tired, but still suspicious, and she says, "Gertie, what are you actually here for?" And Gertie takes another sip of her tea.
You know, that makes me curious as well.
We
Curious
did
about what?
just have breakfast, Mr. Garter. Or are having breakfast.
Oh, that's perfectly fine. I'm willing to wait. She takes another sip of her tea.
How's Susanna reacting to this?
Susanna seems surprised by how Gertie is doing this. She seems surprised more than anything else. She also looks like she's still feeling like shit.
Vice is just curious if this is like I have some bad news I need to share, and I'm just gonna wait till you've been buttered up, or what this is.
She just keeps sipping her tea.
Vice kind of like watches her for a moment, but then just deems like, oh, whatever, I'm just gonna eat my breakfast.
I think that after a little bit of quiet, Dana kind of shrugs and, I think possibly starts to see if Finale will respond to, like, being played with.
Oh. I don't know anything about
Okay, this is
Finale.
an incredibly awkward silence. I don't know how to break it, so I'm just gonna focus on the cat.
I think
Right.
after a while, Talia gets fed up with whatever the fuck is going on and migrates somewhere else.
That's fair. Gertie seems to be perfectly comfortable where she's at, and in fact, she's watching you all, but mostly she's watching Susanna. Sort of, it looks like she's kind of daring her to say something.
Talia's kind of in
Susanna
that, like, well,
says-
if you're not gonna fucking say anything, I'm gonna do more important things.
Fair enough.
I think Vice looks between the two of them a few times while he's eating, and just kind of like, after he's had a little bit of his food, sets his cutlery down and puts his hands together and says, "Now, there is obviously something aside from pleasantries, for why you are here?"
Is there? Also interesting. See, you say that, and it's like, what? What could I possibly be here for?
I do not know your mind, so it would be wonderful if you could enlighten us. And he gives her a bright smile.
Oh, would it be wonderful then? Oh, I guess I should be wonderful. Shouldn't I be wonderful? Susanna, do you think I should be wonderful?
If it suits you.
Susanna says, "Gertie, I don't want you to get in trouble. Why are you here?" And Gertie says, "Well, I am here for 2 things. I am here, 1, to tell you something, and I am here, 2, to offer your most excellent guests a proper tour of the town. I understand, of course, that they have already done some exploring on their own. Little bit of exploring, not very much, but it is nothing compared to what 2 native tour guides can provide them, surely."
Diana's gonna flick a glance at Susanna. Like, I imagine she's managed to get something dangling on a string that she's kind of swiping in front of Finale and seeing if Finale will go for it. I mean, if
Finale
Susanna's
is
agreeable,
going for the thing.
If Susanna's
Susanna-
agreeable, I would like to.
Susanna seems very suspicious of this as well, and she says, "Oh, 2 native tour guides. Have you got Louisa stashed in your pocket?" And Gertie says, "Well, no, of course not. I thought you would accompany us." And Susanna says, "Well, I'm not sure I'm supposed to be doing this. You're not supposed to be here." And Gertie says, "Oh, yes, but come on, Susanna. You must come with us, surely."
Very
And-
familiarize yourself with the town.
Susanna looks at Diona like, "Don't you take her side in this," and then looks back at Gertie.
Hey, Diana. Very deliberately turns her attention back to Vinali, but you do see the edges of a shithead smile.
Of course. And Gertie sort of looks around the room and sort of gestures
You guys
about her.
encourage Diana to be a shithead, so
Gertie sort of gestures about her and says, "I mean, I would be glad to take your friends on a tour all on my own, but you know, they are very attractive. I feel like I might need a chaperone to make sure I behave properly." And Susanna says, "Gertie, you can't just say things like that." And Gertie says, "Oh, but I just did."
In the ring of
Oh,
telepathy, you hear from Bias, "Okay, I really like her."
I think Diana was trying to maintain a straight face, and I think at the oh, but I just did. She loses it. She just starts laughing.
Susanna says, "Diona,
What?
Bias is also smirking into his food.
you're the worst, all of you."
Oh, but you love us.
No, I don't. I do no such thing.
We are the best of worst people.
I doubt that too. And Gertie says, "Oh, come on now, Susanna. See, if you want me to behave myself and not say things like that, you'll just have to accompany us, huh?"
You have been betrayed.
Susanna says, "Ugh. A tour of the town." And yes, Gertie does rhyme with thirsty. And Gertie says, "Well, yes, I mean, they did a little bit of walking about, but I feel like we have lots of lovely sights to offer here. They may as well take a look at them, yeah?" And Susanna sighs. And she says, "All right, what does everybody think? Would you like to go on a tour of the town with Gertie and myself?"
Talia has ghosted back in and is back to being silent.
All right.
I'm
I mean,
fine
I
with
don't know, but
this.
I'd like to.
Yeah, I agree. I enjoy being.
Mockingbird. Where's the mockingbird?
The mockingbird is still sitting on the edge of on the arm of the armchair that Suzanne is in, or the rocking chair. Sorry.
Talia looks at the mockingbird as if they want its opinion.
It looks at you, and it just sort of tilts its head in its best approximation of a bird shrug.
Bless.
Talia nods at the bird.
Yeah. And
So we've got 2 agreements at the moment.
3, counting Lena.
Yeah, 3. Lena, Diana, and Talia.
I'm going to assume, because Sarah is gone, I'm going to assume that Vera will partake in this entertainment, because she probably would, because Suzanne is annoyed.
I mean,
And we have all made a game of winding up Susanna as much as we can.
yeah,
Yeah,
it's fun.
it's funny. And
I mean, I know what Diana thinks she can get away with it.
yeah. At everybody's responses, Gertie seems thrilled, and she says, you see, and you would never deny your friend such a lovely companion as yourself on our walk, no? And Susanna sighs again. And she says, no, I guess I wouldn't. And I guess I have to make sure that you behave yourself, otherwise you will drive all my friends off with your flirting.
It takes more than flirting to drive us off, I promise, Susanna.
Gertie says, well, what if they enjoy my flirting?
Talia looks confused.
All right, fine. And so, would you like to go?
They nod.
Cool. That's good. All right. Tour of the town. Gertie, I don't know what you're up to.
It'll take a couple of minutes to get ourselves presentable for walking about.
Gertie eyes you up and down, Diona, and she says, well, I think you are very presentable already, if you catch my drift, but go ahead.
Yes, but presentable to you and presentable to the rest of the town are two very different matters.
Oh, don't think about that. That would ruin it.
Talia just kind of like resettles the fake ass monk robe.
Yeah. I also think it's as much the suggestion is as much for Susanna's benefit. Give Susanna a chance to get
It is true.
the veil and shit.
Susanna does need to go get the rest of her clothes. She stands up from her chair, and she's about halfway across the living room when she starts to sort of sway and stumble. And Gertie is there before any of you, and Gertie has her around the waist and is holding her up and says, I'm sorry, Susanna, I didn't mean to. Are you all right? You don't have to go on a walk if you're not feeling well. It's okay. And Susanna just sort of nods, and then she reaches around and plucks a ribbon from Gertie's hair and says, you'll have this back if I've decided that you've behaved yourself on the tour. Now, give me a minute to get dressed. And she walks out perfectly
Did
fine.
she fake it?
Yep.
Bias has a new respect.
Diana is going to also because she's going to get back in the suit rather than her sort of everyday kind of.
Fair enough. Yeah. You all can get
Because
dressed
if
and
we're
whatever.
going to be publicly visible to people of Corwick, she's going to make a statement.
That's fair.
Talia's
dress
just
statement.
in monk robes again because they don't want to fucking talk to these people.
Yeah.
Talia is valid.
They are valid.
Yep.
They don't want to say words.
They are so valid.
Words
no.
hard. Who does words?
Words are
Not me.
hard.
Who does words? Everyone in Corwick.
That's true.
And Talia does not have to.
Gertie sort of stands stunned in the living room, and she continues to stand stunned in the living room until such a time as Susanna has come back fully dressed, which is quite some time.
Yeah, like Diana makes it out before Susanna does.
Exactly. And as soon as Susanna returns, Gertie says, you snake! You absolute snake! You tricked me! And Susanna says, yes. And Gertie
Yes,
says,
what of it?
Gertie says, you can't do that. And Susanna says,
I
I
mean,
just
you'll
did.
see that she did.
And Gertie looks at Susanna and looks at the ribbon in her hand, which is a lovely dark blue. And she sort of squints. And she says, all right, well played, fine. I will behave myself, and then you will give me my ribbon back. And Susanna says, we'll see about that.
Bias, to make a point, takes one of his own ribbons and puts it in his hair, not even looking at Gertie. Just ties his hair up and just a neat little bow.
Gertie definitely notices this, and she definitely narrows her eyes at you.
He gives her that, like, knife cat smile. Partially closed eyes, then lips.
Damn it.
Shit-eating grin.
I've changed my mind. Your friends are not attractive. They are rude. And
So
Susanna says,
that's unfair.
Yeah,
Susanna
Talia has
says,
not said a word.
Yeah. I think Diana kind of leans forward on her hand and, well, that's unfair.
Susanna says, I don't recall you ever drawing a distinction between attractive and rude. Are we gonna go? Let's go.
Vias feigns like hurt, but he's just like I got away with something, haha.
Little shit.
Yep. Aaron.
He's a little shit. He calls Mercy to his hand, holds her for a moment, and probably will send her off actually on her
Alright.
own, just to kind of be ahead, just a little bit.
Alrighty. And you all start heading out, I assume. And you all leave Susanna's house. It's chill. Lena, are you divine sensing like throughout, like constantly throughout the tour, or are you just gonna divine sense at certain points of the tour? Okay. I will let you know what you find from various spots. It's been great to have you, though, Amy.
Good night, Amy.
You. Good night.
You can't hear the fucking gale winds or getting up the building.
Oh gosh.
Nope.
My apartment building is a wind tunnel.
Oof.
That's scary.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there are just constant banshees.
Oh no.
Tasty. Banshee hours.
Oh god, I hate howling wind. It freaks me out, man.
So. Okay. Also has plans to head to the temple. Alright, cool. I will let you know about that as well.
Rest well.
Tasty stuff. Have a good night.
Good night.
Alrighty. So, y'all get going on this tour. And Gertie leads you around. Susanna doesn't walk next to Gertie. It doesn't seem like Susanna intends to have any part in the actual tour guide part of this tour. But
Her
Gertie,
job is just make sure Gertie behaves.
yep. Gertie seems triumphant in a way at having gotten the group to come with her. And she leads you all around. She very quickly she leaves the area directly around Susanna's house and just sort of brushes it off with, these are all crow houses, of course. Nice houses, but very bland and nothing interesting. Sorry, Susanna, it's just the truth. And Susanna doesn't say anything. She just keeps going. And you all sort of walk around. You pass the jail. You can tell it's a jail. There are bars on some of the windows. It's not a big building, but it is like more of a building than a house, you can tell. And Gertie says, oh, you know, I've only been in there once. I don't really recommend it. Not very hospitable comparatively.
Vias raises an
Normally
eyebrow.
something people would recommend, no.
You shouldn't have too much trouble with it, though, so long as you're not planning, like, a heist or something. If you are, though, no, never mind.
Was that what you got put in there for?
A heist? No, of course not. How dare you imply that I would be a thief like some here? Whips around and glares at Susanna, who is holding the ribbon around her fingers.
Can Vias try and discern if she's actually lying about the— Of course I didn't do a heist.
Make an insight check.
Okay, I want to know if she's done this. Let's see, where's my insight?
Has Gertie committed thief crime?
17. Is she thief?
Hold on. Let me roll. I'm gonna roll one of these dice so you can't see. You guys don't get to know. You guys don't get any information. Yeah, she's telling the truth. She is just making a joke out of it. You're not quite sure that she was telling the truth when she said she had been in jail.
Okay.
But you're pretty sure she didn't actually do a heist.
Okay, that's fair.
PK, I have one important request, and that is if the bitch crow shows up, let me know.
I will let you know immediately.
If we even spot her, let me know.
We sniff her on the wind.
Okay. I will keep this in mind. Yeah, so she leads you away from the jail, and down the hill a little bit, and into sort of a nice garden-looking area. There's a few crows here and there while you're around here, and the garden is a bit barren because it's still very, very early in the year. But there's a few benches, and it looks like it might be quite lovely in the summer. And indeed, Gertie says, in a few months, this will be absolutely beautiful. Our High Summer Festival is the brightest day of the year, and this garden always looks the most beautiful that day. We do weddings in this garden. Most weddings, actually. I can't think of a single wedding in this town that hasn't been in this garden. It just suits it so nicely. We typically do summer weddings.
Very pretty.
I thought so. It's not so pretty right now, but if you can imagine how it might be in the summer. It's very nice.
Talia cannot.
That is valid of Talia.
I think Dan is kind of going to tap Talia on the shoulder, and summer tends to be when you get a lot of the very vivid greens, and you're starting to get fruits as well as some flowering.
Talia nods. Gertie must be confused.
Gertie definitely was paying attention to that, but she doesn't acknowledge it.
Yeah.
She just sort of keeps going on, and she says, sometimes if two couples are getting married, it's typically lots of marriages happen on High Summer Festival Day itself, because our High Summer Festival is the highlight of the year. And sometimes it will be 2, 3, 4 couples all getting married on the same day and in the same spot. So it's really a lot of festivities. Very nice.
Interesting.
Talia gives a questioning look at Susanna.
Did Susanna get married in the summer festival?
Susanna did get married on the summer festival. It was a very nice day, high summer. It was lovely. The flowers were blooming, and I wore a purple dress that I think complimented me quite nicely. And it was good. It was a nice day.
Wyatt just nods but doesn't say anything.
Gertie makes no comment about that.
Can I insight Gertie to see what she thinks about that particular statement?
Yeah, you can insight check Gertie. Go ahead.
I already incited her before. This is someone else's job.
That should not be at advantage, and I don't know why it's set to advantage. 16.
16. Yeah. Susanna isn't looking at this, but you sort of look over at Gertie immediately, and she has a very sour expression on her face, like she just tasted something bad. And it's gone in like the blink of an eye. She very quickly covers it back up, but her face is not happy for a minute there.
Yeah. Interesting.
Down the hill a little bit farther, there's a lot of smaller houses here, smaller and closer together, some of them, and a few that are sort of farther out from the rest. And she walks past one and she points it out and she says, that is Mr. Mackenzie's house. He's very much a recluse these recent months. Susanna, has he not visited you yet? And Susanna says, no, he hasn't.
Is that the house me and Vera passed by?
No, that house is further up the hill. That house is like right near Susanna's house.
Interesting. So it must be a crow?
I don't know.
Yes, you do.
Do I? What? How strange of an implication. Yeah, so Susanna says, no, he hasn't visited yet. And Gertie says, oh, that's very peculiar. And then you keep walking. And there are many more small houses. And Gertie keeps up sort of a small stream of commentary about so-and-so from thereabouts who does this and has these children. But she doesn't seem very interested in her own commentary. A little ways farther, now you've gone down the hill and you're sort of looping back towards the entrance on the downhill side. And she points out another house as you pass it, and she says, that is my house. If you cannot find Miss Ida at Idle Hands and you need her, she may be here, possibly. But, yes. And keeps walking. It's a cute little house. It has nice little blue shutters.
Okay.
It's quite small, but it looks nice. And now you're sort of going around and past the temple. And she looks at Lena, who is not here, but she still looks at Lena, and she says, I hear a few of you have spent some time here already, yes? So we don't need to stop too long on our tour. Keeps going on.
And this was what place again? Sorry, I was
The temple.
Okay, the temple, right.
Circle sort of around the graveyard. And she says, I hear a few of you have been here as well, so unless you have anybody you'd particularly like to pay your respects to, I don't think we need to stop here either.
Faya shakes his head.
Keeps going.
Yeah.
On up the hill, you all go. It's a little bit of a strain on the calves, but probably not quite a strain on the calves for you as it is for people who may or may not be wearing heels right now.
Like Susanna.
And Gertie, yes. And
That's another question that I'm kind of curious about. How high are Susanna's heels?
I believe they're 3 inches.
Jesus.
Yeah, I think they are.
Oh man, Suze.
Yep, she's vibing.
Oh my god.
And in fact, looking at her, because you might glance at her to see how she's doing, she does seem very tired by the walk up the hill.
At that, I think Bias would, put a hand on her lower back to, help her a little bit.
She would accept it for a minute and then reposition your arm so she's holding it in hers and it's not actually touching her,
that is
on
fair.
her back.
Yeah.
So you make it up the hill, and if you recall, Idle Hands is directly up the hill from the graveyard. And Gertie turns around at you all and says, I have it on good authority that you may have in fact been here before already, so we needn't stop here either.
Yes, right above the graveyard. The classic place to put a brothel.
It's a small town. Everything's close to something. Where else were they going to put it?
All because of a lack of necromancy juice.
Who
That makes it a
knows?
safer place.
Nobody knows anything about anything.
I know.
Except for me. And I don't know very much. So,
Mood.
you pass Idle Hands, and you start to go down the street that would lead you back directly down to Susanna's house, but then instead you turn left and down a side street that wraps around back the other direction towards the entrance of the town again. And there is another, quite a large house. It's not as big as Idle Hands, which is, of course, a business and not a house, but it's bigger than Susanna's, and it's bigger than the other crow houses that are there. And it's got a huge porch with a ton of, there's a little porch swing, there's a rocking chair, there's a ton of stuff on that porch. Very well, nicely done, but definitely a little bit cluttered. And Gertie says, well, that is Mrs. Christabel Tucker's house.
Thought so.
Yes, she has a lovely house. The Tuckers were a huge family.
I haven't met her yet.
Oh, you have not? Well, she looks at the house, and then she looks at Susanna, and then she looks back down the road, and she says, I think you may have a chance to meet her. Quite soon. But
Vias pauses and is like, you said had a big family?
oh yes, the Tuckers were quite a large family, quite large, almost as large as the Crows, but people have moved and they have dwindled. It is still not a small family, mind you. It's still quite a family, but Miss Christabel Tucker, since her husband died, and there have been, some of her children have moved away. Really, it is only Vera now and her children. But it is still a respectable-sized family. It happens. Nothing can last forever.
He just nods.
Mrs. Tucker is a good friend of your Mrs. Crow, you know. And she sort of raises an eyebrow at Susanna. And Susanna says, well, she has a lot of my daddy's clocks, so she's got a lot of fixing to those clocks that needs to get done oftentimes. She's got this gorgeous grandfather clock that my daddy made. It was one of the last ones he made, and it's huge. Oh my goodness, you should see it. And it plays a different melody for each hour that it chimes. It is one of the best clocks you will ever see.
Well, I hope we get a chance to see it.
Talia has no reference for really what clocks are or what they do, besides they measure time, and they don't understand that. So
And there are a lot of them in Susanna's house.
yeah, they're just kind of like, okay.
Mood.
Gertie also seems to be looking around as she leads you past the Tucker's house as well. She seems to be sort of eyeing the trees and the side streets, and she says, I think we might have come upon a first today. I don't think there's a single Tucker boy hiding in the trees. And Susanna says, well, that is a first, and I think you're probably wrong. And Susanna points to a tree behind her, and if you all look, you can see a little boy sort of perched in the tree looking down at you. And he waves. And Susanna waves back. And Gertie looks like perhaps a little bit embarrassed that she did not see him.
I think at that, because, whatever, Vice is going to bring Mercy back since she'd kind of been flying overhead.
Alright.
Just have her on his arm
Mercy.
for a bit.
Mercy is there. She's chilling.
She vibing.
Now, this same street curves back and it starts going further up the hill again. And you all know that this road sort of leads past Founding Field because this is sort of the other end of the road that you took up to it last night.
Yeah.
So, Susanna looks around at you all like a little bit like, do you want to go a different way? But Gertie just seems to be plowing forward, not really caring.
Mr. Goddard, we are actually already aware of Founders Field.
Oh. Well, we can go all the way back around to the other road if you would like. It is not a... She sort of looks back that way and then down back the way you came, sort of as if she's sort of trying to reckon the distance. It's just, I guess it's not that much farther if you don't want to go see again. But I will say,
and I think Lena. Who...
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm pretty sure Lena would actually want to go take a look at it. And so she will say that, and Gertie will say, oh, good. Settled then. All right, let us go this way then. So much more interesting to go new places instead of back over the ground that you have already traveled. Not that any of this is new ground to me, of course. And so you make it to Raven's grave, and you pass it. You don't go into the actual field itself, I assume, unless somebody wants to do stuff. And she sort of points past the field, and she points up at the small house, the only house that is on the hill higher than Raven's grave. And she says, that is a crow house too, but that crow house is more interesting just because of the people who live in it.
Oh? Which crow house is that?
That is the crow house of Sav and Rowan Crow. And they are the black sheep of the Crow family, as much as one can have a black sheep in the Crow family. Susanna, do you think the Crow family has a black sheep? And Susanna looks like she's just annoyed by this conversation.
Via silently thinking that she's the black sheep.
And Gertie just sort of shrugs and she says, you know, they are quite reclusive. I've only actually talked to Sav a few times and I've never spoken to Rowan, though Eric says he's a lovely young man. I wish I could talk to him, but he's quite reclusive. Nobody really knows why they came back because they had been gone for some number of years. Only a few years ago did they move back here.
Is that the house that is the one that me and Vera had been
That
near?
is not the house, actually.
Okay.
Um,
I'm just gonna be asking for clarification until it happens, so.
you can in fact ask Gertie once you get back, because now you are looping back once again down the road to rejoin the main road, which will go straight to Susanna's house. And you go down that way. And Gertie doesn't seem to have anything more particularly interesting to say about any of the houses or any of the people. There have been people on their porches or looking out the windows a few times on this little journey of yours, but they haven't seemed to be overly interested or suspicious, or maybe they're just trying to play it cool so they don't seem like they're ogling the newcomers.
I think at one point Diana does, if nothing else, see how Susanna reacts. Kind of look at Gertie and... You said you've known Susanna since she was younger, right?
Oh, yes, I've known her since... Oh, how old were you, Susanna? 12? You were 12. I was 13.
Any interesting stories?
Susanna looks at you, looks at Gertie, and says, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Refused. Denied.
Diana
Gertie
gives Susanna a big grin and just... I mean, with that vehement a denial, I have to believe that's something.
Gertie sort of looks at you with a smirk on her face, and she looks like she's about to start talking, and then Susanna says, I will not give you this ribbon back. And Gertie sighs, and she says, okay, all right, no stories. Terribly sorry, Diona, but you see she's twisted my arm, the snake, and I can't do anything about it. And you all make your way back down onto the main road, and actually, once you get to the main road and are sort of about to cross back into the crow territory, for want of a better word, Gertie sort of starts to hang back, and she says, you probably have a guest, Susanna, so I think I best not be seen skulking around. You know how your mother-in-law gets. And Susanna says, oh, I have a guest. How do you figure that? And she says, Mrs. Tucker was not on her porch. She's, of course, on your porch. And Susanna says, okay. And Gertie says, I'd like my ribbon back now, please, since I have been so well behaved this entire trip. And Susanna looks like she's thinking about it. And finally she sighs and she hands back the ribbon. And Gertie takes it and says, have a lovely day, Susanna. Oh, Miss Diona, do you think you could escort me back to Idle Hands, you see? I don't want to be walking alone without an escort. And Susanna looks like, damn it.
Diana immediately sort of chippers up and, I would be happy to.
Oh, how lovely. So generous of you. You have very generous friends as well, Susanna.
I think Talia will also take a step in that direction of, like, I will also accompany.
Do you mind if Ansel comes along?
Oh, of course. The more the merrier.
They nod.
And Gertie sort of shoos Susanna away back to her house, sort of waving the ribbon in her hand as she does. And Susanna looks a bit miffed, but she takes Vias's arm again and says, fine, all right, she wins. And then...
I was literally going to say I think she won this fight.
Yeah, she did. All right, let's go. And so the group splits. Susanna's group goes the one way. Gertie's group goes the other. Let's start with Gertie's group. Woo! So you're walking back to Idle Hands. And the first thing Gertie does is she turns to Diona and she hands you the hair ribbon. And she says, Why don't you take this back to her? She loves this color. Just tell her that I made some crude comment about Vias's legs or something.
I can do that.
Very good. On that note, though, oh my goodness, is he spoken for? Because, whew,
He and Dylan have a thing going. I think he's open for.
good to know. Thank you.
No. Vice is in danger.
I
He
mean, this
doesn't
is
fight.
giving him a good time, so.
Yeah.
And as you are walking back, she says, so tell me, you have now seen a little bit more of Corwick. How do you like it?
That's you.
I know. Diana looks like she's trying to figure out how to be delicate about it.
Talia just makes a grumpy face.
Gertie nods at that, Talia, acknowledging it.
If it were what it wanted to be, it would be a pleasant enough place to spend a week. But
you don't like it.
it sets my teeth on edge, and quite frankly, I will be glad to see the back of it.
Hmm.
I'll miss some of the people we've gotten to meet, but
I hope that I can take that as a compliment.
you can. You and Miss Ida can.
Very good. You know, I think we've known each other almost a full day now. That's almost tantamount to 12 years. I think you can call me Gertie just the same as Miss Susanna does.
Well, thank you for that, Gertie.
Hmm.
I am sorry if I overstepped boundaries when we first met.
Oh, no. Absolutely not. That is how most people call me. I don't know if you've noticed. Very few people call me Lagerta. That was more of a... double check. I don't really care. I just wanted to see.
Well, I am honored by the acceptance.
I've decided something, you know.
Hmm?
I've decided that you are good people.
I think Talia can notice that Diana looks surprisingly relieved at that.
Yeah, Talia just vibing.
Yeah.
Talia vibing.
In fact, I think Diana at some point just kind of taps Talia on the shoulder and, so would you like up or would you prefer to keep walking?
They shake their head and keep walking.
She gives a bit of a nod.
I'm wearing the perfume that your uncle bought me, by the way. It's lovely. Oh my goodness, I adore the scent. Louisa likes it too, but she doesn't say so.
I wonder why.
Yeah, right. My uncle gets a sense for people, and then he likes to find perfumes that match. Honestly, that alchemy supplier gets more of his money than the business does, if you ask me. They don't.
There's worse things. And after all, if he did not spend so much money on the perfume, he would not be my very favorite person in the whole world, and then who would be sad?
He certainly would be.
Indeed. See? It is such a delight to know me.
And I think Diana does kind of tap her chin, but now that Susanna is not here, there were
Yes.
stories.
Stories, he wants stories. Well, there's just so many, you see, because honestly, she used to be quite a klutz when she was younger. Always tripping on the hems of her skirts and things, especially when she danced. Oh, she's a lovely dancer now, you should see it, but it took a long time to get there. And then she would always chase Eleanor up the trees that she climbed, and then Eleanor would fall, and they would both fall, honestly. Mostly because Eleanor was a klutz even more so than Susanna. And Susanna would try to stop her from falling, but Susanna wasn't very strong, so they would just both fall out of the trees.
I haven't really heard very much about Eleanor. I know that Susanna adored her, but...
You know, that's interesting. It is interesting to me that you should mention Eleanor, because I decided something else. Do you know what I decided?
I'm sure you're about to tell me.
Oh, are you sure? Then maybe I shouldn't, just to keep it fun.
Oh, but your company is plenty fun enough.
Aw.
Talia's sitting there just like, are these two gonna fuck?
Oh, Talia.
Gertie looks at you, and then she says, I was trying to figure it out. I was trying to figure you all out. I'm sure you noticed. It's just sort of what I do. But I was trying to figure it out because you are interesting to me, and I couldn't decide why. But I figured out exactly why it is. Took me a minute because I was looking in the wrong spot. You are interesting because Susanna, she's very expressive. You know, you can see her eyes when she's not wearing the veil, and you can see a lot in them. And the way she looks at you, if I couldn't see what she was looking at, I would think she was looking at Eleanor.
Oh.
Huh.
It's interesting. But I decided that too. And I don't suppose there's much that I could tell you about Eleanor that isn't encompassed by Susanna adores her, because honestly, that is the truest fact of it all, is that Susanna loved her little sister from the moment she was born and would just do anything. But she was a nice girl. I liked her a lot as well. She was smarter than she seemed. And she seemed plenty smart. I miss her. But...
Diana's kind of got a contemplative nod. Like, she's trying to figure out how to fit that into...
At this point, you are almost at idle hands. And it's right there, and Gertie says, well, you know, I thank you very much for accompanying me. I'm sorry I did not tell you more stories. I do have more, but perhaps if you'd like to hear them more, you will have to come visit me separately.
I'll probably take you up on that, because hearing about who Susanna was before we met her, bound to be entertaining. And also, I can give a shit about it.
And isn't that the most fun? And she sort of nods goodbye to Ansel, nods goodbye to Diona, and then says, oh, and if you were looking for any other company, just let me know, all right? I'd be very amenable to that as well.
BTW, DM. Time to fuck.
And I'm sure Talia internally is just like, yeah, yes.
It's a big mood.
That's funny shit. And with that, she will sort of curtsy and say, and don't forget to give Susanna that ribbon, and then skip up the stairs and into idle hands.
Oh, Gertie.
That's Gertie.
I think Diana kind of pauses and looks at Talia. I have no idea what just happened, though. But okay.
Talia gives you a look like, I know exactly what the fuck just happened there.
Okay. I don't know why I was flirting.
It's an even deeper, like, come on.
Diana just makes a face at you and...
They stick their tongue out real quick.
good content. All right. So, the rest of the group, which at the moment, because Sarah's gone, is Susanna and Vias, pretty much.
Yeah.
They stroll on back. Everybody else is in tow. They stroll on back, and indeed, sitting on the porch, on the one chair on Susanna's porch, is an old lady with gray hair, sort of hunched over, but wearing a very nice dress. Sort of a bright orange dress. It's quite vibrant, and it looks nice in the sunshine, and she's sort of sitting there with her hands sitting in her lap, and she looks like she's just waiting there on Susanna's porch. Like that's a normal thing to do. And Susanna says, "Oh, hi, Mrs. Tucker. I didn't expect you." And Mrs. Tucker looks up and she says, "Oh, you know I can't hear you from all the way down there, darling. Come on up and talk to me right in front of my face." And so Susanna skips up her stairs, and the rest of the party, of course, follows.
Yep.
And Mrs. Tucker seems perfectly content to sit on this porch. She doesn't seem to get up or make for the door or anything. She just looks at you, the whole party that's assembled, which is more people than are actually here, so it's fine.
Also, I need to AFK to make food.
Alright.
I'm vibing.
We will
Okay.
be here.
The vibes.
But yes, Bias is
Yes.
there.
Mrs. Tucker looks up at Susanna and launches into a whole spiel about, "Oh, how are you, dearie? Oh, you're looking so well. I was worried about you on the road. How have you been? Tell me, introduce me to all your friends, explain everything. Oh my goodness, how have you been?" Just she talks quite loud, which you get the impression that she's a little bit deaf, because
Mhm.
she's old, and she's just doing the old person loud talk.
Yep.
And Susanna sort of deflects a little bit. She's like, "Oh, I'm doing super well. It's so nice to be back. The road was lovely. There's so many nice things I saw in my travels. These are my friends." And Mrs. Tucker is like, "Well, don't just stand there. How about you let me introduce myself to them? Hello, yes." And she goes to each person individually. I'm just going to do Bias because Bias is the only one here. And it seems like she knows a lot more than she should for having just met somebody, and it sounds like she has a fully formed opinion for each party member already. So she goes to Vias and she says, "Now you are all the way from Marquette, I hear. Yes, I hear that your family does tapestries. Oh, that's such a fantastic trade. It's so good when an art form is passed between generations. Mrs. Crow here learned clockmaking from her father. Did she tell you that?"
I'm sorry, I just got a text from my dad's girlfriend. Can you repeat that 1 second, please?
I can do that whole
Thank
spiel
you.
again.
I'm so sorry. She just texted me and she's like, "Your dad forgot to bake the buns. Can you put them in the oven?" I'm like, "Damn it!"
Yeah,
Fine,
it's all
okay.
She goes to Bias. She takes Bias's hands and she says, "Now you must be Mr. Dalterry from Marquette, I hear. Yes, and I hear all about you. You make tapestries. Is that right? You and your family? Oh, it's such a good family trade. It's so good when an art form is passed down between generations. You know, Mrs. Crow here learned clockmaking from her father."
Yes, I have heard that. It's something of great pride for Deltaris. Our craftsmanship is renowned in some areas, but quite expensive, unfortunately.
That is just fantastic. Well, I'm sure it's far too expensive for the likes of little old us here in Corwich, but I just know that you make the most beautiful things. You seem like such a fine, decent young man, and it's good to know that dear Mrs. Crow had someone like you looking out for her.
Of course.
And she has a spiel like that for every other party member.
Mine seems a little overwhelmed. Just a little.
Like she knows a lot, and she's flaunting how much she knows, and she has already decided whether or not she likes you. for everyone. Fortunately, she seems to like everybody who she is quote unquote introduced to.
Excellent.
And goes on like this for everybody, for Vera and Lena and Zoella, if she's there, everybody who's there, she has a little feel for. She asks Zoella to show her some impressions, and then tells Zoella that, oh, my grandchildren would love to hear you doing that. They would be so entertained. Would you do it for them at one point, dearie? You know, just... She seems entertained and delighted, and you get the sense that her old gossipy heart has never had so much fuel in a very long time.
Yeah, I mean, you get bored when you're old sometimes. Not very much fuel for the fire here.
Mm-hmm. And you are all still sitting out on the porch, and eventually Talia and Diona get back, probably just as she's finished with whatever last party member she was talking to. And as you get up on the porch, she will... Who will she turn to first? She'll turn to Ansel first, and she'll say, now, I've heard all about your vow of silence, and I do not want to be a bother, but I just wanted to say it is an honor to be in your presence.
They kind of just, like, shallow head bow nod.
Cool.
Oh, bless.
Cool. She seems appropriately entertained by the monkish nature of this thing. And then to Diona, she says, oh, you are just as tall as my grandson said. Oh, and such a lovely woman as well. Now, I hear you have family in Westron, and very good of you to make this extra trip with Mrs. Crow. It's so good when people are from similar origins without knowing it. Because she has feels for everyone, and she knows everything.
Creepy.
Well, she knows everything we have allowed to be known.
Yeah.
This is true.
She doesn't know shit all about Talia.
She
Yep.
she really doesn't. She, in fact, yeah, that was a very short and crisp greeting for a reason. But she does know a lot.
Yeah. But she knows what we have allowed to become known.
Yes. Anything that you weren't hiding, it seems she knows. And
Scary.
after she goes through everyone's little intro, which I don't feel like doing them all right now because her voice hurts my throat.
That is fair.
She will say, well, I am satisfied. I do hope that tomorrow you be willing to come and join. We're starting maybe a little celebration, just a bit of music and food, sort of introduce you all to how we do things here in Corwick, and I think it would just be ever so nice if you all would come. It would cheer everyone in the town up so very much.
Talia is suddenly 17 levels of suspicious.
Well, I don't think that would be anything too bothersome.
Let me see if Susanna is smart enough to do this thing that she was going to do. Oh, yes, she is smart enough to do this thing that she was going to do. She puts a hand on Mrs. Tucker's arm and says very quietly, but not really quietly because she has to talk loud enough for her to hear. She says, well, now, Mrs. Tucker, I just want to tell you, Ansel's monastic traditions have very strict rules about celebration. So, don't be, there might be some conflicts there, but I will see about it, alright? Just don't get your hopes up, alright? And Mrs. Tucker says, oh, of course I didn't mean to offend. Well, my goodness. Well, I'm sorry. But if anybody can come, it would be a treat. But of course, it's not. We don't want to offend anyone or break anyone's traditions. That's not how we do things in Corwick. We are accepting of all.
Talia,
And we will do our best to...
Hold on.
Go ahead.
Keep going. I'm gonna express this in a meme.
Oh, God. Gonna express it in a meme.
Oh, God. Yeah, Vias basically just is like, and we'll do our best to come. We wouldn't want to, seem like we don't appreciate the interest of this place.
Oh, well, I'm sure people will be delighted, even if you just come all on your lonesome, young man. You seem such a nice young man. Oh, I have to be getting back now, but I do hope. And Mrs. Crow, darling, I'll come by tomorrow morning. I know you won't be at the party, but it'll be nice if I could see you again tomorrow. Susanna says yes, and Mrs. Tucker gets up out of the chair and heads down the stairs and down the little road.
After she does, and after she has had a bit of a time to get sort of down the road, Diana's gonna tap Susanna on the shoulder and offer out the ribbon, and I confiscated it from Gertie because she made some rather interesting comments about Bias's legs.
Of course she did. I should have known that she would not. Thank you for confiscating it. That was very good of you, Down. And Susanna
Bias looks a little offended. I think my legs
Susanna
are just
says,
fine.
I'm sure she meant well. I'm sure it was nice comments about your legs, in fact, but it's still inappropriate.
She was probably very flattered by your legs.
All right.
I don't know what I was saying.
Gertie.
I knew how I meant for those words to come out, but they didn't come out right, so...
Gertie likes people. She likes looking at people. She probably likes looking at you all. That's it. That's the story.
She thinks I have nice legs. Okay, that is fair.
Yes, she thinks you have nice legs, Vice. She's
Okay.
interested in your legs.
That's fair.
I mean, you do wear those boots.
And they are quite beautiful. He just like wiggles his foot.
Oh, yes. And you all can sort of head inside and chill. And Susanna says, well, okay, that's not how I thought the morning was going to go, but it sure is a way that it went.
Yep.
Talia, I'm sorry for saying the stuff about the celebration, but I figure you can still go if you want, if this is like, allowed under the your monastic celebration rules or whatever, because she seemed to get that I was implying that. I don't know. I just thought it would be maybe some, I don't know.
I appreciate it, Susanna.
Cool. All right, cool. Nice. All right. And anyway, if you don't want to go, then you can just stay around with me, and then we can just, it'll be nice.
Or we can deal with the bird situation.
Well, yes, but I was talking about tomorrow. This is a tomorrow problem. Today is a today problem. I don't even know what today's problem is.
Well, I meant that we didn't have to necessarily do it today, but yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, today it's just so soon, I mean, we just found out, so we couldn't possibly do it today, right? It couldn't possibly happen today.
Talia just
Are
looks
you
at
stalling?
you. There's a very just flat, look from Talia of you know it does, bitch.
Are you stalling on purpose?
When have I ever not done something inconvenient on purpose? Every inconvenient thing I do is on purpose.
Mm,
Oh, don't say that.
I didn't say anything.
I know you didn't say anything. Oh, Lord.
You're reading minds now, Susanna.
I hope Gertie didn't tell you anything too embarrassing. It was bad enough you talking with Ida. You talking with Gertie is an entirely different matter.
Well, because you grew up together.
We were already half grown up by the time we met.
Well,
Gertie mostly told me about Eleanor.
Oh. Well, what'd she say
And
about
the fact that you used to try and save Eleanor out of trees.
Oh, Lord, that girl could climb up a tree, but she couldn't get down for the life of her.
sounds like a cat.
Oh, cats are more graceful than she was. She is. Yeah. She is a klutz. She is a mess, and the only time she seems to have her feet underneath her is when she's dancing, and she's a very good dancer. But it's remarkable how she shouldn't be able to dance that well, how clumsy she is, you know?
Well, sometimes people can surprise you.
And maybe it helps to have the rhythm.
She likes music too. She's a singer. Have I told you that? She sings. She sings real lovely too.
Pius kind of gets a look on his face. My dad has really good voice too. He always used to sing to us.
I sang to Eleanor when we were little because, well, Daddy sang to her mostly, and then I would sing to her more but it was nice. And then she always would sing the songs that I taught her, but she sang them a lot better. I've never had much of a voice, but she's got such a beautiful voice. Daddy had a nice voice when he would sing, but it wasn't very often after we got a little bit older. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It isn't even relevant. Because there's a relevant thing, which is the bird. The bird, by the way, is sitting on the mantle where it was before, next to the clock and the other candlestick.
Well, do we have the truth spell ready to go?
I think it's prepared.
Vera does. Vera is very helpful, and she's like, yes, I prepared it last night. And everybody's like, cool.
Now I can actually put the damn buns in the oven because it's preheated.
Yeah, speaking of preheated, I'm now going to put the nuggets in the oven for me and Coco.
Chicken nuggies!
Yeah, I need a drink of water because throat hurt bad.
Oh, yike.
PK, you have a drink. We're going to do a 5-minute first.
Tasty. I be back.
I drank. Okay, how long do I put these little bonbons in here? God, I had to go into this freezer for this damn bag like 6 times. We have like frozen bread dough ball thingies. That yeah, let's see how long I put that in the oven for. 15 to 20 minutes. Okay. Hi, kitty. I took out bread for myself because they're like the yeasty ball sort of ones that are like bread dough balls. I can make Fedkuchen. Fried bread dough, it's good. Alright.
Y'all, my building sounds like there's a fucking tornado outside that has like guns going off in it. Like, it's so bad.
That's scary. No like.
Like, I've gotten used to it, but every once in a while I'm like,
Oof.
it's doing it again.
Oh no. Oops, I just ripped my headphones out. There we go. Oh my goodness.
But let me tell you, it has not helped my mental health during quarantine.
Oh, I can't imagine.
To have spoopy noise.
I swear I just heard it there.
Probably.
Ugh.
Because, like, it's a wind tunnel, and then next to me is a bunch of construction.
Oh. So it's just a bunch of banging and object moving things and stuff, and then just howling? Ugh.
Joe can attest that, like, so my apartment building is, like, on a city block, and all 4, like, streets around my city block are just stupid windy, and then everything else is
Okay, Jess,
fine.
nuggets are in the oven. Are you willing to flip them on that?
Yes, I'm willing to flip them. I was complaining about that wind. Like, all of the roads around my apartment are just wind tunnels.
Yep. and it goes right up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've had like windy days here before, but where it like creaks the house and everything, and it's fucking creepy. But like, ugh.
I have drunk
You have quenched yourself.
beverage.
You have beverage.
I had to go all the way downstairs and fill my water from the working filter. So much work. Whew.
I'm glad you
Joe is
have
back as well.
I'm glad you have non-lead water.
It's great. We love not having lead water. Whew. Stairs are hard. I'm tired.
Take a breather. You have bad chest. It is stupid
Okay.
chest.
I have totally functional physical form.
Stupid, ugly, bad, not good, very bad ribs.
Yes. Yes, I do. But now I thought I wish I had chicken nuggets.
Mm.
We do
I
not have
have-
chicken nuggets. We have chicken nuggets that are not yet cooked. They are
Yeah.
they've been put in the oven.
But you have future chicken nuggets. I don't even have future chicken nuggets.
I
Yes, we have
have a future McDonald's burger I want to eat, but I am not going to eat it yet. I ordered a McDonald's.
Not yet.
Oh.
All right. I've already forgotten where we were at.
We were talking about the bird
Yes.
on the
we
mantle.
were talking about the
Somehow,
bird.
I thought that you had actually established that Marianne was here.
Oh, no, she's not. I
we're
called
talking
Susanna Mrs.
about
Crow a
doing
lot.
the zone of truth.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is, however, getting on like 10 o'clock, and there's
Oh.
only like 4 of us here.
Yeah, we can end it here if because then
Mm.
Lena can be here and everything.
Oh my goodness. We just enjoyed a day with Gertie.
Yeah, that was. You know what? It's a better session than the last session.
Ugh. Yeah, that was stressful a little bit.
Sorry.
It's all good. I actually enjoyed it a lot, so
Well, that's good.
I had not actually. I had legitimately not been expecting Diana to go into reciprocate flirt mode.
I was really excited by that. I didn't expect that either, but that was great. I was so stoked.
Talia, who
Sometimes-
comes from like a polyamorous, like normative society, is just like, oh.
Sorry.
yeah, Bias. He wasn't. He's all right with it, but I don't know if Gertie's his type yet.
That's all right. Gertie is some people's type. She is not other people's type.
I also hope you know that the only reason Talia understands prime material flirting is because they've seen it in the party.
Mm.
Oh.
At
Oof.
Vias and Dylan.
That's
Oof.
good content.
Me thinking about that and going, yeah, I don't know what they're gonna do. By
the boys.
accidentally being like up with Dylan in the attic alone, and then just turns the tide when Dylan's like, "You're attractive," and he's like, "I'm just genetically that way. It's fine."
You're attractive. You want to talk about Punnett squares?
He's a fucking idiot.
Stupid
Listen,
boy.
I love bias when you're disaster gay.
He just doesn't understand that people are sincere sometimes.
Oh, that was a sad statement.
Oh, look, he has some issues.
Can I just say that Talia's interactions with the Mockingbird were so much better than anything I could have expected?
Agreed. They are good.
That is entertaining content right there. The Mockingbird will remember this.
Thank you. Talia was like, well, where I come from, birds talk all the fucking time, so let's try talking.
Probably be easier if it could actually make noise at you, but unfortunately, That little mockingbird don't sing.
No, thank you.
Yes, please.
Alright. Alright. I should probably end this session then.
Mhm.
That's what we're gonna do.
Bye, the recording.
Goodbye!